Awful story here. A relief group in Western Africa confirming 2 Americans have tested positive for the Ebola virus. The victim's 33-year-old Dr. Kent Brantley, medical director for the Samaritan's Purse Ebola Care Center in Liberia. Now, he's being treated at a hospital, and an aid worker, Nancy Wrightbowl, also contracting the disease of the Ebola outbreak, which has recently killed hundreds in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. Ebola is one of the world's deadliest diseases, and Dr. Mark Siegel, professor of medicine at NYU Langone Medical Center and member of the Fox News Medical A team, is here to tell us about it. What is Ebola? Why is this getting so out of control in Western Africa?
And I'm concerned about this. You know, I'm one of the people that was always downplaying Ebola. Ebola is a virus that starts off with a fever, headache, muscle aches. It comes from fruit bats. We believe that fruit bats carry it. But a few days after you get these basic flu-like symptoms, Martha, you suddenly start to have bleeding. And the bleeding cannot be stopped, and that's why it's so deadly. Up to 90% of people die from it. This new strain that's spreading in West Africa, which just 670 deaths since March, I think it's more contagious. I think it's a little less deadly. 60% about. But that's what viruses do as they evolve, by the way. They want to survive like anything else. So if they kill the host, they're not going to survive. If host lives, they can jump to another person. This one's more contagious. I am concerned about the possibility of this coming here. It doesn't spread through the air.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell us how it's transmitted. How do people get it?
It doesn't spread through the air. It spreads through secretions, through blood, through touch. So it's happening in these villages because in the hospitals, infectious precautions are not being taken properly, and they don't realize that it can live on surfaces for a while. Plus, the New York Times had an amazing article today on the front page about how in Guinea, villagers see the Red Cross truck coming and they say, that's the Ebola truck, and they run away from it and they go to their traditional medical doctors who don't understand how viruses are spread. Meanwhile, Doctors Without Borders is going around trying to disinfect everything, which is the only way to prevent spread. People living very close together, I'm concerned that what the World Health Organization is calling an epidemic and an emergency is going to get worse before it gets better.
What about the possibility that it could come here? How would it be transported, and is that possible?
Well, I want people out there to know you're not going to get this through the air on a plane. This is very important. You can get measles that way. You can get flu that way by breathing air. You're not going to get Ebola that way. But if someone, God forbid, who was sick, thinking they had a flu and went on a plane and you touch them or touch the surface, it's possible it could be transmitted that way. I do not want to scare anyone out there. I usually try to calm these fears. And then, of course, fear is the second virus here, because if people don't take precautions, like those villagers, you spread the Ebola being afraid of the Ebola. I am concerned about the possibility of it coming here.
And you think these doctors got it because it lives on the surface for how long?
It can live on the surface for several hours, but keep in mind, they're in close contact. That's why the villagers are afraid of doctors, because they think doctors are getting it. It's so tragic.
So sad.
You're a doctor giving your life, being a hero, trying to help save people, and you're right in the clinches with people with blood, with secretions, trying to take care of them. You end up getting it.
Awful. We hope they recover. And they're doing great work. They're all of these, and as you say, these poor kids, you know, they're afraid of the medical professionals in some of these small villages. So we got to stay on top of it.
Doctors Without Borders is a great organization.
Mark, thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.